Over the last couple of months, as I've been paying a lot of attention to YouTube, being a content creator myself, I've been aware of a trend amongst the kind of over 40s and beyond that have channels here on the platform. And one of the topics that they've been talking about has just been avoiding people, staying away from other human beings. And I see these posts, I'll put some screenshots up here for you. I see these posts pop up tackling the why I want to be away from people. And I just wanted to give a bit of perspective on that. Partly because I agree in some form, but I also disagree and wanted to give you some talking points today. Now, of course, this is a survey of one, just my information that I can share with you. I can only tell you what I'm about to tell you from the position of how I've experienced it. It won't be the perfect scenario for all of you. You won't agree with me. That's all. It's all totally fine. But hopefully this just gives a little bit of perspective. My father, when he passed away last year, passed away probably feeling that he was quite lonely at the time because he felt that there was really very little going on for him. He was very quiet. He was living a lonely life, having lost his own partner some years before. And in trying to talk to him about that, it was a very difficult process because he liked his own peace and quiet. He liked his own time alone. And I understand that. I'm somebody who also likes the quiet from time to time. But I'll tell you when I flourish the most, when I'm around other people. And never was that more evident to me on behalf of my father than at his funeral, because there was multiple communities that he'd been involved in. My dad was a janitor. He had seen decades worth of kids and teachers flow through his school, and he'd built great relationships with many. He was a football manager. He helped me as a youngster train, and he looked after his school team, and he looked after a local side for a number of years. And so again, he saw many kids go on to be adults and some professional football players. And lastly, he was also a very keen photographer. He would spend most of his weekends going to show jumping and also being a photographer for Airdrie Football Club. So when it came to his funeral, there was all these communities there. And as I stood outside shaking hands with people as they left, I was just so filled with pleasure, joy, gratitude that people cared enough that they wanted to come to his funeral. But I couldn't help but think at the time, God, my dad felt like he was a lonely man, and yet look at this community that's here. And I think the greatest barrier for my dad there was that he was a deeply shy person. I recognise that in myself a lot, but as I've explained in past videos, I've had to kind of overcome those challenges in dealing with health issues that kind of shaped my character as such. But my dad was a quiet, shy man. He didn't have a lot of friends. He had a lot of acquaintances. A lot of people knew him. And like I say, as I stood there on the funeral line, shaking hands with people, thanking them for coming, it just filled me with, look at this, Dad. Look at how many people have came to see your final resting moments, right? So that really lived with me. And the reason I bring that back is because I personally flourish when I'm around other people. I know that I need my time away from them because I need a quiet time to be able to process maybe what's going on in a day or information that I've received. But I really love being around other people. And so, look, I'm in my mid-40s. I've posted videos before about my friendship circle. It is a very, very small select group. However, I have a much wider group of people that I keep in contact with through various reasons. And I wanted to give you an example of that, right? Just a tale that I thought this would be quite relevant. In 2020, I was lucky enough to be working for a technology business that would send its staff, some of its staff, to Las Vegas. And in January of each year, you would find that Vegas would be taken over by an event called CES, Consumer Electronics Show. So I would go out to that show, represent the company, go and have multiple meetings, talk to retailers, talk to businesses about buying, selling products. Now, in that period, in the January period of that event, that would also be when my birthday would happen. So I would be away from home, away from my wife Yvonne, and celebrating in another country, but often on my own. And so I would just kind of try and make my own entertainment. Now, in previous years, I might have gone with colleagues. I would at least have a dinner or something, but it would feel weird being away from home. And so I bring it back to 2020. 2020, right before the pandemic kicked off, lockdowns, etc. Travel was still happening, although being looked at. And so I found myself at the start of January in a hotel in Las Vegas, on my own this time, nobody with me. And I was kind of thinking, what's my birthday coming up now? By chance, a favourite band of mine, a US metal band called Tool, T-O-O-L. They're like the Pink Floyd of metal music, absolute legends. They were playing in San Diego. Now, San Diego is a short flight away from Las Vegas, and it was on the weekend. So I was due to fly home to the UK on the Monday morning, and the gig just happened to be on the Saturday in San Diego. And I thought, well, I'm a man who can travel. I've travelled on my own plenty. I could be going to this gig and just having a little bit of a solo adventure. So I booked the tickets, I booked the flight, and I decided that I would leave late on the Friday afternoon after my meetings were done and head to Las Vegas. Head to San Diego from Las Vegas. Now, I went onto the platform Reddit, and Reddit, subreddits, it's an interesting community, that's for sure, but I went there and I was reading about the upcoming gig in the Tool subreddit, and I put a post up saying, Scottish guy, middle-aged, coming into San Diego, going to the gig. I don't know anybody, I don't know any places to go, is anybody going to the show? And I got a message back from a Reddit user who said, I'm going to the show, I'm travelling down from LA, let's meet, and if you fancy a beer or a catch up or whatever. I thought, cool. Now, of course, internet dating carries its risks, and you must always use your common sense in these situations. You know, I'm not advising anybody reach out to strangers online, but I'm going to meet this guy in a queue waiting to go to a concert. It's the kind of worst that could happen. So, Matt is the name of the gentleman that I met standing in the queue. So I get to the venue in the early afternoon and I take up a position, and I'm on Reddit checking what's happening. Matt's messaged me to say, I'm driving down, I'll be there at such and such a time. Well, as I'm standing in the queue, this young man comes walking across, says, hi, are you John? I'm like, yes, I'm John. Nice to meet you, Matt. And Matt and I stood in the queue chatting about the band, and the doors opened, we went in, and luckily we had been given tickets by the organiser so we could sit together. There's an explanation behind this, but they were unreserved seats when we got there in a particular section that we would be located at the gig, so we managed to get 2 seats sitting together. And so I went to this gig with this person that I'd only just met hours before, but with a shared passion of at least music bounding us together. We went into that show and we spent the time together at the show, and the show to me was biblical, right? It was like life-changing. And the reasons for that is, I'm a Glaswegian in San Diego where I've never been. I'm seeing one of my favourite bands. I've gone there alone. I've met a cool guy who I share a lot in common with, and suddenly we're kind of being friends, and he's looking out for me and I'm looking out for him, a kind of camaraderie, a gig camaraderie. And so we enjoyed the show, and honestly, at the end of the show, the minute the gig was finished, we shook hands. He was like, I've got to drive back home. And I said, I totally understand, I'm going back to my hotel. Off we went, we parted ways, but with just an appreciation of, you can be an all right guy, he's an all right guy, we can hang out and talk. Well, I messaged Matt last night and I said to him, do you mind if I tell the story about you and I meeting? And he was like, no, absolutely, go right ahead. So with his permission, I'm telling you that in 2025, I've now met Matt in New York. Turns out he's a screenwriter, writes stories, wrote a TV show for Amazon. Just great background. And we regularly keep in contact. Nothing more than, hey man, how you doing? Have you been to any gigs recently? Seen anything exciting? What's happening in your part of the world? Here's what's happening in my part of the world. And it might only be a couple of months, 6 months, but we check in. We just check in, and I'll tell you, see if it was the choice between loneliness and having somebody that I at least knew I could reach out to and just say a hello and exchanged some conversation with every now and then. We've done video chats, we've done text messages, and when Yvonne and I went to New York recently, where he was now residing, he came and met us and we went to another gig together. And I just, you know, when I tell people stories like this, they go, oh, friends.
Jay, I'm off, mate. See you soon.
All right, mate.
You know, the whole the whole TV show meme, right?
Oh, friend. I knew him from when we was doing trials at West Ham. He's moved into the area. He's just some guy.
Some guy? Oh, he's just some guy.
The In-Betweeners, favourite show, great show. But you do the whole, oh, friends, internet friends. But see, if you don't try, you're never going to get to know anybody. And if you don't get to know anybody, the next thing you'll know is you're making videos saying why I stay away from people. So there's a bit of benefit in all of that. Now, today is the 18th of May. I want to close this video out, keeping in tune with all of this, of what I've just said. I met a friend online in 2020 who I was doing some DJing stuff and I was hosting a little show online during the lockdown period. He came along and then it turned out when the lockdown ended, we both were in London, we met up for a beer and we've been friends ever since. And when I posted the video recently about the Viagra Boys and my mate's 15-year-old son that we took to his very first concert, that's him. His name is James. And today is James's 50th birthday. And so I thought I would tie this tale together saying, if you don't try and you don't go out and meet new people, you will be lonely. I know it's hard, and it is especially hard when you're in your like 40s and 50s, because most of the time you just don't want to care, right? You just want to do your own thing, have your family, deal with yourself. Maybe you're just on your own and you think, I don't want to be around other people. But that is a difficult double-edged sword. And I'll tell you, I'm grateful for the people that I've got around me that want to check in with me, drop me a little text, see what's going on, watch these videos, have some contact with me. I'm grateful for that. I appreciate my space and my time alone, but I'm grateful that people want to get in contact with me and message me. So to my buddy James, your 50th birthday today, have a massive, massive, epic day. I hope the family's looking after you. And if everybody could leave a little happy birthday James in the comments, I would love that and he would love that. Thanks everybody. Let me know what you think about this. Am I just waffling? Do you just want to be on your own and you don't care about other people? You can let me know down below. But like I say, I hope this gives you some kind of encouragement that even in your 40s and 50s, you can still meet people. You can still become acquaintances or friends. But if you don't try, soon be posting videos saying why I like being on my own. Have a great day. 45 seconds.